The day I lost my life savings, I wasn't robbed by a stranger. I hugged the man who took them. That's the dangerous thing about betrayal. It rarely wears a mask. Sometimes it calls you Aunt Margaret. Sometimes it kisses your cheek before emptying your future. At 76 years old, I own less than I did when I was 22. The difference is that, when I was young, I still believed tomorrow would give me time to recover. At my age, every dollar carries a memory of the years it took to earn it. If you stay with me, I'll tell you how one conversation in a grocery store forced me to face the truth about trust. It wasn't just my money that disappeared. It was the version of my family I had carried in my heart for decades. I never married, not because I didn't want to, but because life kept asking me to care for someone else first. My father suffered a stroke when I was 31. My mother developed arthritis soon afterward. By the time both of them were gone, I was almost 60. People often called me selfless. The truth was much simpler. I kept believing there would always be time for my own life later. There wasn't. I worked 53 years as a school secretary. I packed lunches instead of buying restaurant meals. I wore winter coats until the elbows became shiny. I clipped coupons. I skipped vacations. Every sacrifice became another small deposit into my retirement account. When I finally retired, I had saved just over $300,000. It wasn't wealth, it was security. My nephew Brian was 43 then, smart, confident, always talking about investments and opportunities. Aunt Margaret, he said one Sunday afternoon, your money is just sitting there losing value. I don't need much, I answered. You deserve better than not much. Let me help. He showed me charts, graphs, projected returns, words I pretended to understand because I didn't want to look old. Looking back, pride can be just as expensive as ignorance. Within 2 months, I had signed papers I barely read. Brian assured me everything was safe. Your family, he smiled. I'd never let anything happen to you. For nearly a year, he sent me cheerful updates. Everything's growing. The market's doing well. You'll thank me later. Then the updates stopped. His phone calls became shorter. Family dinners became less frequent. One rainy Thursday, I visited the bank because something didn't feel right. The young woman behind the desk frowned as she studied her computer. I'm sorry, she said carefully. Your investment account was closed 11 months ago. I laughed. No, there must be some mistake. There isn't. She turned the screen toward me. The balance was almost gone. I remember gripping the edge of the desk because the room suddenly tilted. My voice barely worked. Who authorized this? She looked at the paperwork. You did. My own signature stared back at me. I don't remember driving home. I only remember sitting in my kitchen until the sun disappeared, wondering how ink on paper could erase 53 years of work. Brian stopped answering my calls. His house went up for sale. Neighbors said he'd moved to another state. Some relatives suggested I should have been more careful. Others changed the subject whenever his name came up. No one wanted to choose sides. Silence became the family's favorite language. 3 years passed. I sold my house, moved into a small apartment, learned how to stretch every pension check. I thought the hardest part was losing the money. It wasn't. It was realizing how quickly people disappear when your misfortune reminds them of their own responsibilities. Then one Tuesday morning, I stopped at the same grocery store I'd visited for years. A young cashier looked at me strangely. Excuse me, she asked. Are you Margaret Collins? I nodded. She smiled sadly. I've wanted to meet you. I couldn't imagine why. She introduced herself as Hannah. Then she said something unexpected. I worked here the day your nephew came to withdraw all that cash. My heart stopped. I remember because he was nervous. He kept saying he hoped you'd never find out. I stared at her. What do you mean? She looked around before continuing. He wasn't alone. There was another man waiting outside. They were celebrating. She hesitated. I almost called security because something felt wrong. I felt cold despite the summer heat. She reached beneath the counter. I've kept something all these years. It was a receipt. Folded, faded. On the back she'd written the license plate number of the car they drove away in. I don't know why I kept it, she whispered. I just had a feeling. That tiny piece of paper eventually helped investigators trace financial records connected to other elderly victims. I wasn't the only aunt. I wasn't the only grandmother. I wasn't even the first. Brian had spent years earning the trust of older relatives before taking everything they had. He was eventually arrested in another state. People asked if I felt satisfied. No, justice cannot refund birthdays spent worrying. It cannot rebuild nights lost to shame. It cannot return the confidence that disappeared the first time I questioned my own judgment. Months later, I attended the court hearing. Brian never looked at me. As deputies led him away, he quietly said, "I'm sorry." For years I imagined hearing those words. I thought they would heal something. They didn't. An apology offered after consequences arrives too late to become redemption. Today, I live comfortably enough. My apartment is small. My furniture doesn't match. My savings will never recover. But something else did. My trust. Not in everyone, in myself. I stopped blaming the older woman, who believed family meant safety. She wasn't foolish. She was loving. The foolish one was the man who traded his family for money that disappeared almost as quickly as he stole it. I still carry that faded grocery receipt in my wallet, not as evidence, as a reminder. Trust should never be given simply because someone shares your blood. Character is not inherited, it is proven. If someone pressures you to make a financial decision before you fully understand it, pause, ask questions, read every page, seek another opinion. Anyone who truly loves you will never rush your trust. I lost $300,000. Brian lost something far more valuable. He lost the right to ever be called family again.